Some mornings don't begin with sunlight. They begin with a soft groan. My grandfather, he's 78 now, still wakes up early. Never late, never misses his morning tea. But not once does he get out of bed without holding his neck. He sits at the edge of the mattress for a while, shoulders slightly hunched, one hand steadying himself, the other gently rubbing the back of his neck. Every movement is slow, deliberate, as if even the air around his neck might trigger pain. He tilts his head to the left, his brow tightens, turns to the right. His shoulder lifts instinctively, protective, cautious, then a deep exhale. He gazes out the window, like he's hoping the morning light might somehow loosen the tension inside his body. People talk a lot about back pain as we age, but neck pain, it's quieter, smaller. But when that tiny hinge between the spine and the skull is strained, the whole body follows. I used to think it was normal, that stiffness was just part of aging, that everyone slept a little crooked. Until one morning, I looked closely at the pillow he had been sleeping on, firm as a brick, barely any give, and that's when the question came. Could it be that the pillow he's trusted for over 10 years, the one he never parts with, has been pressing down night after night on the most delicate part of him? My grandfather always believed that a hard pillow was best, keeps the head straight, doesn't sink. That's the way it should be, he'd say every time I gently asked why his pillow felt more like a fabric-covered brick than something meant for rest. That same pillow had followed him for over a decade, square, stiff, unmoving, and because he never really complained, we all assumed it was fine, until I noticed something small. His neck was always slightly bent forward when he laid down, not dramatically, but just enough that the curve between his head and shoulders seemed out of place. Each night when he rested back onto that firm pillow, his neck didn't stay aligned with the rest of his spine. It tilted just a little, as if something invisible was quietly nudging it out of line. At first, it just looked like mild stiffness, but morning after morning, it turned into something more, a quiet ache that crept in with the dawn. He didn't cry out, didn't ask for help, but he started sitting longer at the edge of the bed before standing. He rubbed his neck more often, turned his head less, moved with a hesitation that hadn't been there before. I shared what I saw with a family friend. She's a spinal therapist. She nodded gently, then said, "A pillow that's too firm doesn't allow the neck to adjust or rest naturally. When the base of the neck isn't supported to follow its natural curve, all the pressure gets dumped onto the vertebrae. And in seniors where cushioning cartilage has worn thin, even a small nightly misalignment can cause chronic strain and long-term inflammation." I just sat there, quiet, because I had never realized that something as ordinary as a pillow, something so trusted, so familiar, might be the very thing causing his pain. For younger folks, sleep is rest. The body bounces back. But for someone in their 70s or 80s, sleep is more like a rope bridge, wobbly, delicate, and the wrong pillow. It's like a crooked plank, just enough to make that bridge sway every single night. I used to think my grandfather simply preferred a hard pillow. Once I even handed him one of my mom's soft down pillows to try. He gently shook his head. "This thing flattens like paper. Doesn't hold the head up. Not for me." I smiled, slid his old pillow back into place, and didn't press. But something inside me lingered. Maybe he wasn't used to comfort. Maybe he was just used to the pain. That night, I tried something small. I took a thin piece of memory foam, only about 2 fingers thick, and quietly laid it over his old pillow. No talk, no fanfare, nothing obvious. Just one quiet change. The next morning, as usual, he sat up slowly at the edge of the bed. His hand still reached for the back of his neck, but this time he didn't wince. He rubbed gently, turned his head side to side, then stood up without the usual sigh. I asked softly, "How's your neck today?" He paused, looked surprised. Not as sore as usual. Maybe I just slept in the right position last night. I didn't say a word, just watched him walk out to the porch. And I noticed his steps seemed lighter. A few days later, I decided to go a little further. This time, I brought him a contour pillow, the kind with a gentle dip, shaped to cradle the neck, to support where it truly matters. He looked at it sideways and said, "This thing looks kind of funny, doesn't it?" I chuckled. "Just give it one night. If it feels strange, I'll take it back." He nodded, and that night, he tried. The next morning, while I was tidying up in the kitchen, he came in holding the pillow in one hand and smiling. This pillow, it felt like someone was holding my head all night. "I didn't even know your head could feel that light when you wake up." I didn't answer right away. Something swelled in my chest. It wasn't just relief, it was joy, a quiet kind of joy, the kind that comes from knowing. A tiny change had touched something deep, a place in his body that had been quietly suffering for years. From that day on, he never asked for the old pillow again. It was folded up, tucked gently into a storage bin at the foot of the closet. Nobody had the heart to throw it away, but no one had a reason to use it anymore. Sleep is a quiet matter, especially as we age. Older bodies endure more than they reveal, and sometimes they don't need advice, they don't need warnings. They just need someone to watch them closely, to notice the stiffness behind the smile, the hesitation in the morning step, and to dare to swap a pillow on the right night. Some things we hold on to, not because they're right, but because they're familiar. My grandfather always thought a hard pillow kept his head steady, firm, secure, unmoving. But what he didn't know, or perhaps never had the chance to learn, was that the right pillow doesn't hold your head. It supports your neck. You see, the neck doesn't lie flat like the back. It curves forward like a small bridge between the head and body. And if your pillow only props up your head, your neck drops into a hollow space. The muscles along your spine, they tighten just slightly. They work through the night, adjusting, trying to keep alignment. You're asleep, yes, but those muscles, they never rest. A good pillow isn't the softest, it's the one that fits. Not too high, where your head tilts backward and compresses the spine. Not too soft, where it sinks too low and pulls the neck forward. Just enough to cradle the curve, so your body can finally let go. The ideal choice, a slow rebound memory foam pillow, one that gently follows the shape of the neck and holds it all night without pushing or sinking. Or a down pillow but with a firmer core inside soft, on the outside supportive in the middle. Always keep the height low, no more than 4 inches or 10 centimeters, because anything taller means tighter bends for already tired spines. For a long time, I believed my grandfather's morning aches were just part of aging. But after just a few nights with the right pillow, I realized something. I wish I had known sooner. Aging isn't the reason for pain. It's the reason we need to be more gentle. I once came across a quiet line in a physical therapist's sleep guide. Switching to the right pillow can reduce neck pain by up to 60% in adults over 65. I remember reading that line slowly, twice, and thinking, if one pillow can give someone a morning without pain, isn't that worth trying? Since using his new pillow, Grandpa no longer sits at the edge of the bed in silence. He no longer cradles his neck before rising, because now his neck has been cradled all night long. He never asked what brand it was, never asked how much it cost. He just smiled one morning and said, "That's sleep." It felt like everything was finally where it should be, because a pillow, when it's right, doesn't just hold your head, it holds your peace, your stillness, and that quiet, unspoken sense of belonging. When you wake up, without pain. It was just another morning. Grandpa sat out on the porch, same teacup in hand, steam drifting softly into the cool air. But something was different. He tilted his head gently to the right, then to the left, and for the first time in a long time, he didn't wince. No stiff hand reaching behind his neck, no slow stretch, no soft groan, just a calm breath, a quiet sky, and peace in his bones. I stood nearby watching. He didn't notice me, but I noticed him. His body moved without caution. His face carried no tension. And I thought, just one pillow, and my grandfather's neck finally got to rest all night. One small change, and the oldest part of him finally stopped holding on. For older folks, there's no such thing as perfect sleep. Only the kind that feels right for them. Not every firm pillow means proper support, and not every habit we've kept for years is one we need to keep forever, because sometimes what feels familiar might be the very thing holding in the pain. A gentle invitation. If your loved one is still using a stiff, firm pillow, try offering something with a little give, a soft support that cradles instead of presses. You just might give them a morning free of neck aches, and a night where they don't have to fight to sleep. And if this story helped you, even just a little, please hit subscribe. Each week we'll bring you a new quiet story about sleep, about small changes, and about the simple peace that comes from waking up pain-free